Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tiny Improvements, the podcast where small daily actions can lead to huge transformations. I'm Mark.
And I'm Jessica. Today we're tackling a problem that affects all of us at some point: procrastination. We've all been there. You say, I'll start tomorrow, but then, well, tomorrow comes and you're still stuck in the same place.
It's like you know exactly what you need to do, but for some reason, you just can't get yourself to do it. You've set goals, you've made plans, but the action part, that's where we tend to fall off.
Exactly. And the frustrating part is, this isn't just about being lazy. It's a real psychological battle between what we want in the moment and the future we want to create. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. Why we procrastinate, why we can't seem to form new habits, and how we can finally build habits that stick.
Yes, and we're not just talking about motivation here. We're talking about science-backed strategies for breaking free from procrastination, using insights from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This episode will give you practical tools to stop putting things off and start making progress every day.
So if you've ever said, I'll start tomorrow, and then never followed through, this episode is for you. We'll give you the keys to building habits that actually last. Let's get into it.
Before we jump into how to solve procrastination, let's first understand why it happens. I mean, it's a problem most of us face daily, right?
Absolutely. And this is where Atomic Habits really opened my eyes. Clear doesn't just blame procrastination on laziness or lack of willpower. He explains that procrastination comes down to a conflict between our present self and our future self.
Yeah, this idea blew my mind. Our present self wants instant gratification. We want what feels good right now, watching TV, scrolling through social media, eating junk food. But our future self cares about long-term goals like getting fit, saving money, or learning a new skill.
Exactly. And the issue is that the future self's rewards don't feel as immediate. So we often end up choosing immediate comfort over long-term gains, which is why we tend to procrastinate. It's human nature. The brain is wired for instant rewards, which makes it hard to prioritize long-term goals.
And this is what Clear calls the present bias. We place more value on the here and now and less on the future, even if we know the future reward will be better. For example, it's easy to procrastinate on a workout today, even though we know that staying fit will make us feel better in the long run.
That's right. And Clear also explains that procrastination is a result of this conflict between the present and future self. And the worst part? Procrastination creates guilt, which then fuels the cycle. We feel bad about not getting things done, so we delay even more to avoid the negative emotions associated with failure.
And we end up in this vicious cycle, right? We keep saying, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow never seems to come. The longer we wait, the harder it gets to break free.
Exactly, and that's where Clear's approach really stands out. Instead of just telling you to try harder, he offers us a system to overcome procrastination by focusing on habits. Because habits are what create real lasting change.
That's the key. We're not relying on motivation or willpower. We're building systems that make it easier to take action consistently. But how do we do that?
Now, this is where it gets interesting. In Atomic Habits, Clear lays out a framework called the 4 Laws of Behavior Change. These 4 laws are the blueprint for building good habits and breaking bad ones. If we follow these laws, we can overcome procrastination for good. Let's dive into each of them.
The first law is make it obvious. And this one is all about environmental cues. You see, our environment plays a huge role in our ability to form habits. If you want to drink more water, for example, don't just keep the water bottle hidden away in your bag or cupboard. Put it on your desk, on your kitchen counter. Somewhere you'll see it all the time.
Exactly. Clear suggests that we should use visual cues to trigger habits. If you want to work out in the morning, lay out your gym clothes the night before, so they're the first thing you see when you wake up. Making the habit obvious is the first step in making it automatic.
And here's the cool part: habit stacking. This is a great way to make it obvious. Habit stacking is when you link a new habit with an existing one. So, for example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, you can stack a new habit, like doing 5 minutes of stretching right after brushing your teeth.
That's a great one. It makes it so much easier because you're not starting from scratch. You're just attaching a new habit to something you already do. Now, let's move on to the second law.
The second law is make it attractive. Now, this is where things get fun. If you don't enjoy the habit, you're probably not going to stick with it. That's why Clear talks about temptation bundling. Temptation bundling is when you pair something you don't necessarily want to do with something you love.
For example, if you love watching Netflix but don't like exercising, you could only watch Netflix while on the treadmill. Now you've turned your workout into something you look forward to.
Exactly. You're making the habit attractive by associating it with something you enjoy. It's all about making the process fun. Now, the third law is make it easy.
This is a big one. If a habit is too difficult, we'll never stick to it. Clear suggests that we should make our habits as easy as possible to start. For example, instead of aiming to work out for 30 minutes, start by committing to just 5 minutes of exercise.
That's the trick. The idea is to lower the barrier to entry. If you can make your habit so easy that there's no excuse not to do it, you're way more likely to follow through. And the last law is make it satisfying.
Yes, this is where the fun part comes in. If we feel satisfied after doing a habit, we're much more likely to repeat it. Clear suggests using habit trackers to track progress. Every time you stick to your habit, you check it off. The visual of seeing your progress is incredibly motivating.
That's so true. Seeing a streak of success can be incredibly rewarding. It creates a positive feedback loop. The more you check off, the more you want to keep going. So, to recap, the four laws are make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
Okay, now that we've covered the laws, let's get practical. How do we actually apply these laws to our daily lives? Mark, can you give us an example?
Sure, one habit I've been working on is reading more. To make it obvious, I put a book on my nightstand so that it's the first thing I see when I wake up. And for habit stacking, I paired it with my morning coffee. Right after I make my coffee, I sit down and read for 10 minutes.
That's a great example. And what about make it attractive?
I made the habit more attractive by choosing books that I actually enjoy. I also set a goal of reading only books that are fun and inspiring, so I look forward to it. For Make It Easy, I started with just 10 minutes a day. I kept it small because the goal is to build consistency, not overwhelm myself.
I love how you made it easy by starting small. It's so important not to overwhelm yourself in the beginning. And for make it satisfying,
For satisfaction, I use a simple habit tracker. Every time I finish a book, I check it off in my journal, and I also write a small reflection on what I learned. That small reward of checking it off feels amazing, and it motivates me to keep going.
that's awesome. I've been doing something similar with my morning exercise routine. To make it obvious, I set out my workout clothes the night before, so they're right in front of me when I wake up. For habit stacking, I pair my exercise with listening to an audiobook. I only allow myself to listen to audiobooks when I'm exercising, so it feels like a treat.
Perfect. That's such a great way to make it attractive. And what about Make It Easy?
I started with just 15 minutes a day. I knew that if I made it too long, I'd be less likely to stick with it. But 15 minutes? That's doable. And for Make It Satisfying, I use a tracker and mark off every day I finish my workout. It's a great visual reminder of how far I've come.
Awesome. Both of us are using the four laws in real practical ways. And that's the key. Building habits that stick isn't about motivation or willpower. It's about creating a system that makes it easy for you to succeed. So, what can our listeners take away from this episode?
If you're tired of procrastinating and want to start building habits that actually stick, start by using the four laws of behavior change. Make your habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
Exactly. Start small, be patient with yourself, and celebrate each small victory. Over time, that you'll find that these small actions add up to big results.
We'd love to hear about your own habit building journey. What's one habit you're going to start today? Drop us a comment below and let's make progress together.
Thanks for listening, and remember, no matter how small the step, it's still a step forward. Keep improving, one tiny habit at a time. See you next time.